You said that you have had to struggle, and yet it seems very hard to believe that somebody with your gifts didn't walk right into the
Oh, no.
roles and into the big opera houses.
Oh, no. It wasn't at all easy. I had struggles in Italy. I think they found a new element in me. What they considered bel canto was just a beautiful voice singing, whereas with mine, they just had to work their minds a little more. They had emotions that they didn't feel before. I was going against the so-called tradition, which was then not so good, because the tradition of high, long-held notes and overdone phrases, all this business, which I had to fight for enormously.
You had to fight to put the interpretation
to clean
into the
down,
voice.
put music back to its place, and not have these enormous long notes with these cadenzas that never finish, and real old bad tradition.
Is it true that you came to this country and
Yes,
sang for people here? And
by the way, I had said yes. You do have to accept sometimes contracts that while you're making career. In other words, I had told you that I did accept Tristan and Isolde then in Turandot, but those were my roles, with knowing how to sing and not letting them harm your voice that much. I was offered in America in 1946 when I came here. Mr. Johnson was then director
of the
Metropolitan. And I auditioned for them. I sang, I remember, I think it was Trovatore d'Amor Sulali, the first aria, and then Casta Diva. They asked me what I would sing, and I said I would sing Trovatore first and Casta Diva after. And I remember Johnson said, well, that's a very funny way of warming up. You should sing Casta Diva first and then the Trovatore, Edward Johnson. And I said, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, but I'm afraid that's the way I warm up. And which is so true, it's odd. Mine is a strange voice. I usually warm up with heavy operas, and then my voice becomes...
I can't imagine warming up on one of the most difficult arias that was ever written.
Well, it is odd. I confess. No, I warmed up on Trovatore, which is odd.
Exactly.
One of the funny things in my voice. In any case, then he offered me, I went the next day, and he offered me Fidelio in English to be sung, I think, in Philadelphia, and I said, no, thank you. And he says, why? I know you sing Fidelio. I said, yes, but I don't sing it in English. Well, he says, you sung it in Greek. Well, I said, I had to because I was in Greece. But I will not sing Fidelio in English. It's against my principles. Well, I said, I offer you Butterfly. And I'm afraid I had to say no again to Butterfly because it was not an ideal debut. Because I think that the debut is most important. You must debut in the best opera, or possibly your best opera.
No question.
No question. So I unfortunately had to say no. And then when I did say no, all my friends and, people around you said, well, she's crazy. High hat. Who does she think she is? She'll never get another chance like that, turning down the Metropolitan and blah, blah. Well, I really knew I had to do this, and if I was asked again, I'd do it again. But I promise you it was not easy with my own conscience after. And I was sitting around waiting for a chance. Then we were supposed to debut in Chicago. If you remember, they were supposed to open the season then, and it bankrupt. And I didn't debut there. But then there was Nicola Rossilimeni, who was supposed to sing Gioconda at the Arena, and he proposed me to Zenatello, who was then the director of Arena. And I auditioned for him, and he immediately gave me the contract.
And that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
I've heard so many stories about you before you came to this country, and of your Traviata at Scala and so on, and things that you did in acting. And interestingly enough, one of the most enthusiastic reports was from a composer who certainly listened as a musician, if anybody would, and he was absolutely overwhelmed by your acting and your very original stage business in Traviata, particularly in the first act. I remember his describing you as singing A Forse Lui, sitting in front of the fire and gazing very pensively into the fire.
Yes,
and,
that's so.
Very, very quietly.
Well, we try to perform the opera as it would be in life, possibly to give the real impression. What would she do during this aria? You can't very well speak of such intimate thoughts in an open way. And I also, I must say, I'm not the kind of artist, I think at least, that asks the public, oh, please applaud me, I'm here, I did well.
Yeah.
You must applaud me. You know, these open gestures which call.
Yes, I know.
Well, I've always done everything to discourage that.
Well, because you're in your role.
Because that's what we're taught, that music must go on, it shouldn't be interrupted, and it should be played down, always, because the expression should be brought out. I remember also Serafin had told me one very precious thing. If you really want to find your movements, to find the staging, the composer has seen to that already. Listen hard to the music. Listen well to what we play, the orchestra plays,
Yes.
and you'll find all your gestures there. It's already done for you. In fact, if you think well, it is true.
And do you find that's true in the older operas as well?
Yes.
In Puccini
Yes.
or Wagner, it's easy to see.
The stage director
Bellini?
was the composer then. They used to create it together with the words, together with the librettista. They used to create the staging, the passion. They used to create the opera.
Yes. But of
And
course,
they felt it. They used to sing. Bellini is famous for having sung the roles before. While he was doing a recitativo, he would sing the recitativo 10,000 times until he finally found what he wanted and how it would feel. They were the stage directors before us.
I suppose that's true.
Well, music is not composed only for the beauty of it. It has a reason. Every
Indeed,
note
it
has a
does.
reason. Every phrase has a reason, stage-wise and expression-wise. Every word.
And do all these things come to
That
you
is why
out
we
of
must
music?
respect all the acciaccature, all the abbellimenti, because each
yes.
composer put it there
Yes.
to express a particular emotion, particular expression of the heart, of the mind. Staging, in other words. So you have to stage first with the voice, and then with the gesture, if necessary.
And he left it up to the singer somewhat to fill
yes,
in, didn't
but
he?
he also, because singers then used to compose and do whatever they wanted just to make, show their voice off.
Yes.
And these poor composers would say, but please tell us what vocalizing you want, because we have a certain expression and a certain way of seeing things. Tell us what you want, which are your precious vocalizing. We will put it into our style and into our stato d'animo, as they say,
Yes.
according to the role, whether it's dramatic or whatever it is. And each composer was very proud in keeping his own abbellimenti, his own style. So you see, we, in other words, when we perform, we have his responsibility. We must respect his way of seeing and feeling things, and they are not just anybody, they are famous composers.
That's
So we
it.
don't have to serve ourselves. The first person we serve is the composer.
Yes, that's it.
According to that, you make what you think he would have wanted. You make that your own. According to his style, that's why you
Yes.
must be a little flexible in style. What is style? Well, it's according to your own good taste, but each and every composer has his own style.
Your intuition.
Yes.
And do you find that...
Well, that's a long study, though.
Of course.
With other
Of
maestri, with
course it
devotion,
is.
with research, and with passion and love.
And do you find that your interpretation of the roles you love change over the years?
Well, not much. I mean, they can become more refined, or they can grow, but
Yes.
shall we say that immediately, when I look at a role, you can see nearly what it's supposed to be. I mean, you make... So, I don't know, I've never painted, or rather... was a sculptor, I can't say. But if I sculpted, I think that what they would do is mold nearly to something. For instance, I don't know, if it's a queen, well, they'd mold what year would it be, what epoch, and they would mold a crinolino, or they would mold a classic thing, something like the original. And then they would go into the details of the face, of the neck, how the expression would be, what the folds of the dress, if the dress would be large or small. But the nearly immediate mold would be immediately done.
Yes.
Then you refine it, and you fill it in, and you make the eyes, and you make the details. But immediately you should know what it's all about.